Are we rolling or are we?
I am rolling, but we haven't officially started yet. So yeah, we should probably get going.
All right. Wait,
what's
wait.
the
Are we
intro?
transporting from the van to here like we did last time?
Well, it'll be from here to the car, but it'll be time travel. We can bring
Okay.
that up. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool.
All right. Hell, George, do you want to intro? You might end up introing every time you're on here. Introing. This Organized Chaos podcast is brought to you by JEMS Art Studio. This podcast is also brought to you by listeners like you. Thank you.
Welcome to another Organized Chaos podcast. Your host is Bob.
Wait.
He's over here. Wait. I don't know which direction this is going.
Oh, there you go.
He's right there.
Yeah, wait, who? What?
There he is. I'm pointing in the right direction now. There's a little bit of delay here. So I'll let Bob do some.
Hold on, let me do my impression of Hassan. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Doing very well.
So we're talking about a band today, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are doing a different episode than normal. We will be talking about an obscure little band.
Yeah, they're kind of indie. Like,
Yes,
you know,
they're very indie.
Yeah, like
they
a
were
bunch
probably
of
more.
like a bunch of art students.
Yeah, they.
Yeah.
You know, Andy Warhol designed all their album sleeves. No, I'm just kidding. They make great t-shirts, though, don't they?
They do.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we will be talking about Pink Floyd. This episode we're going to be doing our complete Pink Floyd album ranking, and then we're going to be doing our review of Wish You Were Here. Can you even see the full shirt?
The band Wish You Were Here.
More or less.
I almost wore my
Pink
shirt.
Floyd. A Pink Floyd tribute band. Yeah, your shirt sucks. What's up with that?
No.
Your shirt...
It's a hard one.
But Wish You Were Here is a Pink Floyd tribute band from Cleveland.
Yes.
Correct, Bobby?
Yeah, they were from
Yeah,
Cleveland.
They put on a hell of a show too. They put on,
Yeah,
Really great night.
yeah.
pretty amazing.
But yeah, we're going to be talking about their concert at the end. This is going to be kind of like the Genesis one, but a bit different because the Genesis one we did an album ranking, then went to the show, and now we've already gone to the show, but now we're going to do the album ranking. So we're going to travel back in time for the end of this video.
Yeah, so real quick, guys, how were you guys at least working or at least had some like groundwork done to your album ranking before we went to the show?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
How much of it
I
has changed
had a rough album
after?
ranking. It changed
Which made
a little
you,
bit.
yeah. So after the show, going like, I got to kind of rethink some of that. Like,
Nothing.
I don't know if the show made me rethink any of it, but
Okay.
I did do last minute re-listens and I adjusted a couple of things because there's a
Okay.
couple that, like I was telling you guys, my 6 through 11 are all really close.
Yeah.
I feel like my last 4 are pretty solid, and then my 6 through 11 are kind of really close. And then my 1 through 5 are pretty solid.
I was pretty confident on this. I've probably heard every single one of these albums at least 1,000 times over. So-
Yeah. Well, no, like definitely like the ones towards the end of the list for me are probably ones I've maybe listened to maybe a half dozen times. That being said, it's probably more than I've listened to most live albums. So
yeah, like even like stuff like Uma Guma, like I used to put it on all the time when going to sleep. So I've definitely heard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably the best usage for Uma Kuma.
And it's a good usage. There's nothing wrong with sleep. Nothing wrong with
weird.
bedtime music.
No.
We'll get to it because like individually, I actually think those songs are okay.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah. I guess we're ready to just dive right into album ranking. Let me get some.
I got the numbers. So we're starting with number 15, right? And then we're working our way up.
Yes. And then I'll bring up the name of people, like I have myself, George, and Bobby.
Yes.
I'll bring up the name, and then when I bring up your name, go ahead and bring up your pick for that spot. Actually, where's a piece of paper? I thought something fun could be done where I could actually keep track of everybody's pick, and then at the end go do like a quick recap, which is just essentially the average of all our picks, and do like an overall. I thought that'd be interesting.
Sure.
Okay.
I need pen and paper for that. Oh, I could probably just do it on my phone.
This is going to be an interesting one. I think the lists are going to be vastly different.
Yeah.
I think there is going to be variation.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you, I know George and I are more aligned on Momentary than Bobby is, but I know Bobby and I are more aligned on Animals than I am with George. So
yeah, so there are going to be some.
We're going to have variations.
Although, Bob, you and I were pretty close on the Genesis one, minus a few albums.
I know.
I was not expecting.
I know.
That, so the three of us.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say the three of us might be more aligned than we think, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's 100% possible.
We'll see.
I just remember when you got to Genesis and we each got to our top 5, and there are literally 4 albums neither one of us had talked about yet. It's like, that's pretty closely aligned.
It's obvious which ones we're getting to here. Okay.
All right. So are we ready to get rolling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So whose name is going to be first? And oh, God damn it.
Is it you?
Yes.
All right.
All right. So my number 15. Helps if I bring up this one. My number 15 is Uma Guma. It doesn't. As far as picking favorite tracks, there's a couple I could have gone with. I went with The Narrow Way Part 3. But, I mean, there are good tracks on here, but it, like, as much as Pink Floyd albums sound like albums and experiences, this really doesn't. It really feels like a collection of songs. And going into a little bit of the history that I was studying, essentially each band member took over a side of this album and kind of just did their own thing with it, which is why it feels that way. But yeah, this is probably the album I've listened to the least. And it is fine. It is absolutely fine. But if I'm looking to plug in a Pink Floyd album, it's almost never ever gonna make it. Let's see. So, next, George.
All right. So, I'm doing something similar with the Genesis ranking. So.
Oh, I should have just left that picture up.
Yes. Let me make sure I got that in frame. Uma Guma. Where's an Guma? Does anyone know?
I think it's pronounced both ways.
Don't know
I've always heard it as Uma Guma.
Okay.
But I've also heard it like different parts of that album, like the Grand Vizier. But I've also heard it pronounced the Grand Fussiers.
Interesting. Okay.
I think it's just
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you brought vinyl to play with too. Okay.
Oh,
cool.
Yeah. So.
Cool.
Yeah, I only have one vinyl Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
So.
I got it right here. My prized Pink Floyd album. Wait a minute.
Big Bambi. Big Bamboo.
Yeah, great. Big Bamboo.
Cheech Chong, nice.
With paper.
So I did a little digging on this one too, and I think I mentioned this to you guys at the show. Actually, this was a platinum album in the United States, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
That's in my notes. Yeah.
Kind of there says it's like a special buy because it has the live album. So maybe it was kind of like one of those deal things where like, hey, I'm getting 2 albums for the price of one. And I also wanted to point out that Roger Waters' girlfriend at the time is on the sleeve, but she is not on later pressings, like the CDs. So,
What?
like Bob said, it's totally fine. Pink Floyd solo stuff for me, like I always felt that they're better than the sum of their parts. Is that the right saying? They're better.
Do you mean they're better together than apart?
Better as a collective, and
yes.
Well,
definitely.
I think the band did perform all these pieces, but it's just it didn't felt like it was. I don't even know what I'm trying to say about this album. There's a lot. What I will say, there's a lot of good sound experiments, which I think was very important to the evolution of their sound. So this was kind of like taking a step away from the Sid era and kind of exploring other types of genres, sound experiments. Favorite track on this is the opening track, Syphilis Part 1, which is probably
Syphilis.
It's like a Greek. Remind me. Sisyphus Part 1. It's a Greek term, and I'm brain farting on what that means. But anyways, it's about as close as they ever got to sounding like a horror soundtrack. Just a very, very interesting opening piece. But yeah, I enjoyed Several Species, believe it or not. I think is a highlight on here. Just a weird early example of kind of electronic music and tape manipulation, and so it was
definitely the band. There's a lot of albums where you can tell they're finding their sound, but this I felt like was a last step before they really started finding it.
Yeah, live album is great, however, but I know we're just kind of talking about the studio production.
The live album is just all of Floyd live is magnificent, but
yeah.
So.
All right. I believe it's you, Bobby.
All right. Number 15 for me. I have it all paged out here. So, So, the funny thing that I've always noticed about this band is the more I come back to it, I'll either find something new about it, but rarely I'll come back to something and I'll find something that I just kind of really don't like. And it's the soundtrack album More. That is my number 15 pick. It's good, but I felt that it was lacking in just kind of like it, because they're still kind of experimenting and getting what sound they want and shaking loose the old Sid Barrett ways, and Roger's just starting to get the reins. So it's more of a transitional, and I hear it. There's a lot of good stuff on there, but just I guess nothing that really pulls me. I mean, there's like the Nile song is about the only thing that I consider good on there, or at least just, I mean, it's all good, but just biggest takeaway for me would be that one, because it's just kind of a really heavy driven guitar song, and that's about all the notes I have on it. Other than that, just kind of meh. So number 15, the Nile.
Random question: has anybody actually seen the movie that this is a soundtrack to?
I have not. No.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Oh, you have, George?
Yeah. I have the early years collection has a set of Blu-rays, and those movies are included. I did sit down and watch them, and they're very much of the time. They're very
okay.
The best way I can describe both of the movies, it's very drug heavy, very 60s alternative, and it's just, who would have thought that the soundtracks of those movies would become infamous and nobody has seen these movies?
It's definitely become one of those things.
Yeah.
It's like, More, did you know there's a movie? Oh, that's why it's called a soundtrack. That's why.
I definitely would only recommend watching them out of curiosity.
Yeah. All right, that brings us to number 14, and George, you're going to kick us off there.
Oh, it's me again, huh?
Yeah.
Wait, you went first last time. Never mind.
Yes. Yeah, we're going to cycle through weird, so we take turns going first.
Endless River. It's my number 14.
Gotcha.
In a way, this is kind of a similar concept to Umaguma. What this originally was going to be was Division Bell was going to be a double album, and the second disc would be these kind of like more ambient instrumental type pieces. So they scrapped that idea, and then they later came back to it and did updates and remixes, and that's kind of what this is. It's not like a true Pink Floyd album. It's just kind of part of unreleased stuff from that era.
Yeah.
Again, it's great to put on when you're relaxing, getting ready for bed, or just kind of setting a mood. And yeah, the tracks do flow really well together. All instrumental minus Lost for Words. But if I had to pick a favorite song on here, probably the Talkin' Hawkin' song, which is kind of like an early alternate take on Keep Talking with a Stephen Hawking's voice synthesizer. So yeah.
Quick correction, you said Lost for Words. It's Louder Than Words. Lost for Words is on Division Bell.
You are absolutely right. Thank you, Bob. So,
no problem.
So yeah, no, it's fine. I'm glad that they released it because I was always interested in hearing what this stuff sounded like. So, yeah, cool. Yeah, that's all I really have to say about it.
All right. Next up is Bobby.
Actually, mine is the same. Endless River.
Okay.
It serves its purpose as like you had said, George. just setting a mood. You want to put it on to relax, and it's nice, very ambient soundscapes that are, I'm also happy that it was able to come out in full fruition. It's not like full Pink Floyd, but it's really nice. And, of course, Louder Than Words is also still very much in that same style. I mean, David's wife, Polly Sampson, wrote the lyrics to it. So, and she did also come in on the Division Bell and wrote a lot of the lyrics for most of the material on there, if I'm not mistaken. But
I did not know that.
Yeah, I found that out. But that would be my number 14 choice.
All right.
Yes, number 14.
That's right. I actually know this one. Next up would be my number 14. And that is going in almost drastically the other direction from you guys. I'm going with Saucer Full of Secrets for my number 14.
Blasphemy.
I know. Well, this is such a mixed bag of an album. I feel like I really like the first half of this album, but the second half is like, I couldn't tell you anything about the second half of this album at all. It's like 4 solid songs and then nothing. My favorite would have to be Set Controls for the Heart of the Sun, because awesome. But yeah, Corporal Clegg's a fun one too. I don't know, I talked about how like Pink Floyd albums are like experiences. This is the second one where it just doesn't feel as much like the experience. This is very much Sid left in the middle of this album. He wasn't super involved, and eventually the band just stopped picking him up. And yeah, you could just kind of tell they weren't sure what they're doing. And I feel like lots of times they're kind of trying to go for a Sid sound, which is really not the direction the band ended up going in, thankfully. But yeah, Saucer Full of Secrets, I guess I should say. I don't think I said the full title yet. But yeah, it just doesn't thrill me, but I like the highlights. All right, number 13, and Bobby, you are leading this one.
Momentary Lapse of Reason.
Blasphemy.
Ouch, that's blasphemy.
I knew it was coming. I'm actually kidding, guys. My number 13 is A Saucer Full of Secrets, actually.
Oh.
I couldn't resist anymore, guys. Sorry. Don't worry. It actually, upon review, it actually got a little higher tier. So we'll talk when we get there. But yeah, I still feel like this is the same thing with More. Like they were trying to shake and get that new sound, and I really flip-flopped on whether to put Piper here or this because of that. But I decided against putting Piper here because that established that tone, that sound. But my only note about I say like Thin is great is obviously set your controls for the Heart of the Sun, because that song is the only recording to feature all 5 Pink Floyd members, as well as that whole album that has all contributions from all 5 Pink Floyd members. So I feel a little blasphemous for putting it on such a low tier because of that fact.
Yeah.
However, again, you brought up a lot of the same points, Bob. But
yeah. Almost makes you wonder what could have been like if all 5 of them were there pulling their A game.
I mean, yeah, Clegg is...
I feel like...
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. Because it feels like that one, you could tell Sid is the band leader and he is just not coming to bat.
Yeah. I mean, his big contribution is definitely Jug Band Blues on there, which is kind of a perfect ending to that album and almost kind of closing chapter on that section of the band.
Yeah, agreed.
For sure.
Interesting enough, Nick Mason says this is his favorite Pink Floyd album.
Oh, I did not know that.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, and his current band is called
called Nick Mason's A Saucer Full of Secrets. I actually saw they were coming to town.
Yeah. All right, so we're to my number 13. My number 13 is something that's already been on here. It is More. You could definitely tell they're kind of starting to find their sound. This is the first album they did without Syd Barrett, period. And they're starting to find it, but it's still not come together. I feel like they're trying to copy Syd probably a bit too much instead of going their own route, which is definitely what they eventually do. I always like the song Cymbeline, though. I can catch myself humming that just randomly. It's definitely one of their most earwormy songs, probably of their career, honestly, because that just pops in my head randomly.
It is a very, very catchy song. Yeah.
Yeah. But
which one?
Yeah.
Cymbeline.
Oh yeah. Got to that one.
But yeah, outside that, nothing really. That's the only song that sticks in my head at all for the most part. I can listen to this and kind of enjoy it as it's going through, but 10 minutes later, it's Cymbeline and then nothing else. But yes, that would be my number 13. And George.
Okay. My number 13 is Final Cut. It's kind of a much later album here in the catalog.
Yes.
That being said, I still really enjoy this album. It's unique in the catalog. I think almost every track, maybe minus Not Now John, has the Michael Kamen Orchestra on it. The songs are actually really nice. It flows nicely. It doesn't always grab me though, and this is not one that I tend to put on regularly. So I try to kind of rank the albums in kind of an order in which I listen to the most. So still really like this album a lot, actually. Not Now John is definitely my favorite track, which also incorporates a little bit of One of the Few, which I've always liked One of the Few. And A Hero's Return is just another highlight on here. But I guess another reason Rick Wright isn't on this at all. So kind of miss hearing his keyboards, because his keyboards are a big part of the Pink Floyd sound.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, otherwise, really good album. Just kind of lower on my list. So yeah, Final Cut.
For sure. And that brings us to number 12. And I believe I am leading this one. Yep. All right, so my number 12. Oh, God, I shouldn't have even gone right that picture. Yeah, my number 12 will be, spoiler alert, the final cut.
Oh, didn't see that coming.
Yeah, this is, it's actually like, if I were to listen to these songs individually, I think they're decent songs. They sound a lot like Roger Waters' solo work, which, yeah, he dominated the crap out of this album.
Couldn't tell.
And I like the individual songs, but oh my God, it feels like such an ego trip on Pink Floyd album. Like, how often did David's vocals even appear on this album?
Backing or
I
featured?
feel like almost never. Feature.
No, I believe that's him dropping the F-bombs at least at some point during Dear John.
I think.
Or Not Now, John.
I think
yeah.
Not Now, John, yeah.
Not Now, John.
Yeah.
I think he does sing lead on that. And I think Roger Waters kind of sings the post-chorus sections.
Yeah.
Kind of like Comfortably Numb, where they kind of trade off quite a bit on the song.
I do really enjoy Not Now, John, just because of a chorus of them saying "fuck all that" is so much fun. But my actual pick was The Gunner's Dream, which was just, I thought, was a cool, trippy song. And like I said, individually these songs work. Kind of all together as an album, it really feels like so much Roger, just intense Roger, just going up his own butt. You do miss Richard Wright, because Roger essentially kicked him out after The Wall. And David Gilmour talks about how he really didn't like working on this album. And he was essentially kicked out during the production of the album, which is why he doesn't have production credit. Yeah. You could tell this was not a fun album for them to produce, and it was just Roger doing whatever he wanted and not listening to anybody. Which is like, yeah, that's cool for a solo career, but you're supposed to be doing a band thing now. But yeah, the final cut. It's got some songs. George, you're number 12.
Okay. Number 12, I picked Obscured by Clouds, or La Valley soundtrack.
Yeah.
This one actually is very interesting because you can kind of hear them start to transition into what became Dark Side. Because I think this only predated Dark Side by like a matter of months. Yeah, it was very close. Again, pretty good, but none of the songs are like really like grab a hold of me too much. But the opening track, Obscured by Clouds, is really cool. Has this really cool synth groove by Richard Wright. It's very cool. And then the Free 4 by Roger Waters on here is just this. It's the perfect blend of menacing and cheering at the same time, like so happy but so brooding and dark. It's like it's a very interesting juxtaposition of a song. And Mudmen, I really like the track Mudmen. But yeah, it's my kind of thoughts on this is very similar to More. Which I'll get to shortly. It's fine for what it is, but with the soundtrack albums, I don't really think they're like huge highlights, but they're still really good and definitely worth listening to. So.
Yeah. Yeah, we're starting to get into that middle section now. Bobby, you're number 12.
Obscured by Clouds.
Oh my God, our lists are matching up way more than I was expecting.
I agree.
I was expecting more curveballs.
Yeah. Again, that intro with that synth, how it kind of starts off a little dark and menacing, and then Nick comes in with just the beats, David kind of making it seem, and just transitions right into that next song where it's kind of just takes a whole new shape. Like it's a very interesting album. It's hard to say the flow, but like you did bring up the song Free 4. That is just it's such an interesting contrast.
Yeah.
Such a cheery cheeriness. Another one I really enjoyed on there was What's the Deal, A? I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, again, just it's a great album. It's nothing to like shake a nose at just because it's so lower on the list, but it's definitely a unique experience. It was an album that I came to later while listening into Floyd, but I'm happy I did, and yeah, I don't really have much anymore on it.
Yeah. Ooh, so now we're moving on to number 11.
Number 11.
And George, you're leading us off. Yeah.
Okay, so number 11, I picked Soundtrack to More. Again, like, the soundtrack albums are really good. That's why they're not like dead bottom on the list, but they kind of feel like they're for a project and not really what they would have put out if they were making these songs kind of apart from these films. But this one has a leg up on Obscured by Clouds because there's 3 tracks on here that I just absolutely love. Cirrus Minor is the opening track is just this very haunting, dark, kind of gives me chills every time I hear it type songs. Denial song, which Bobby brought up earlier, very guitar heavy. It's one of the heaviest tracks in the catalog, I think. And like even David's voice on it's really aggressive, and it's just such a unique track, and it's so good. And then there's a track on here called Quicksilver, which, is them starting to get into very, very electronic ambient type stuff, which I think would help shape some of the things to come, but kind of reminds me of Tangerine Dream a bit, that song, Quicksilver, like early Tangerine Dream.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay. So, some of the songs on here are just kind of like short little experiments. Cymbeline is really catchy, but yeah, I like the variety of this one. It feels like there's different types of things on here, and Obscured by Clouds is a little more straightforward. So I think this one's more of an interesting listen, at least for me.
Okay.
So.
All right, Bobby.
What is it? My number 11?
You're 11, yes.
Umaguma.
Okay, I was like, we didn't miss your Umaguma, did we?
No, we have not. You were wondering where Umaguma was going to fall.
Yeah, I just noticed that one has been brought up a third time.
Well, yes, it fell into the 11 slot for me. Now, I'm all definitely... I love the idea behind it and the concept of just each of them taking a side and kind of doing their own. If I had to pick a favorite out of all of it, it would probably be the Grand Vizier's Garden Party. And of course, several small species.
Sure.
It's experimentation, and when bands take a chance, I'm all there. I'm there for it. I'm there. I love it. I'm here for it. But I just think it was kind of like a Marty McFly thing. Like maybe they just weren't ready for that just yet.
Yeah, probably.
That's kind of how I feel about this album. But and of course, the live stuff is just awesome. But yeah, Umaguma falls in here. This has to be like probably you got to be in your right mood, right mindset, maybe. This is like you gotta just be committed to listening to this album, like knowing what you're getting into. Don't introduce a new fan to Pink Floyd on this one. I mean, if you want to really,
that could be fun though.
I mean, I say if you want to blow their mind, put like my top 3 on for them. But that's just mean.
I will say Umaguma was the 3rd Pink Floyd album I heard, so I did catch it. I caught it a little early.
Okay.
I didn't know.
I'm trying to think where it would be for me.
Oh God, that was probably 8th or 9th for me.
Yeah, probably something in the middle. I definitely heard it before Final Cut and more.
I definitely heard it long before I heard the soundtracks. I had only just heard Piper, and like from the earlier days, it was just Piper. Because I think I listened to both of the 80s albums or the 90s, like Momentary and Division Bell, long before I even listened to Atom Heart Mother or even Obscured by Clouds or Saucerful of Secrets.
No, I definitely agree with that. I'm certain I did.
Yeah, it took me until years later to get into like the that stuff.
But we are to my number 11. And
yes.
If I mentioned before, my 11 through 6 are all pretty close, and you're going to see that with this pick, because my pick here is Piper.
Oh.
Piper at the Gates of Dawn, specifically. Yeah, this is honestly a really solid album. I'm kind of surprised. I thought it would be higher up, but yeah, looking at the ones before it, yeah, I kind of feel like this is where it goes, but it's good. This is the Syd Barrett album. He definitely had a direction for the band that isn't where it ended up going, because obviously he didn't stay with the band. But it's like this really trippy, like 60s era rock band that's like the opposite of straight edge. It's just so much drugs are involved with this album, but it's so much fun. I don't know which one would be my favorite, Astronomy Domine or Interstellar Overdrive. They're both fantastic songs, though, for very different reasons. But yeah, I mean, I even enjoy Bike, which is possibly some of the dumbest lyrics ever, but it's so dumb and entertaining. It's fun. It's fun.
I do think the
about
rhymes
the little gnome.
Yeah.
Yes.
I will say the lyrics are very clever. They tend to get a little childish at times, but the rhymes that he came up for a lot of the lyrics are just very clever.
Yeah. And Bobby, you're leading off number 10.
Oh, the Final Cut. For a lot of the same reasons that have been already aired, this one is definitely, it really did feel like an ego trip. And I mean, and a lot of it felt like they were revisiting old material, like kind of making a counterpart to The Wall, which this album was originally, I believe, planned to be the soundtrack for the movie. But, that later fell by the wayside with various production issues. Where they are, yeah. Yeah, but a lot of it was like, there was even like a few songs, I believe. I forget, I didn't write down the name of the song. But there is one on there that is supposed to be a continuation of the Schoolmaster, or of his story or something. Yeah, but yeah, very much an ego trip and kind of hard to hear it, like, get through at times. Like you had said, Bob, a lot of these are really great on their own. Like they stand really strong on their own, but just, it gets a little rough at points, just because like it's just so Rogers being very egotistical and kind of like you get like, well, I get why they think of you as kind of a dick at this point.
I'm kind of glad you brought up how it sounded like The Wall, because a lot of this was just kind of leftovers from The Wall.
Yeah.
And part of David and Roger's disagreement was that David wanted to do more original stuff and not do so much leftover stuff.
Yeah.
And Roger was pissed at David because he wasn't bringing enough original stuff, which
is also...
It doesn't make sense to me, but knowing Roger's history, I definitely feel like David's giving us a more honest side of the story.
Yeah. And I mean, I even with The Wall, which I'll get more into why Roger fired Richard Wright out of the band. Like, at the time he was going through a divorce. So, of course he's going to kind of just seem mopey and, not really at it, like, yeah, it seems like, but it appears to the bandmates that he doesn't give a shit. No, it's not that. Just, he's trying to put himself together. Like,
yeah, divorce takes a lot out of you. I know.
Yeah, it's just interesting because like this is also a point when he is noticeably absent from the tracks, and it's a bit jarring. Yeah. So
yeah, he is missed in that album very much.
But I mean, ultimately, I do rag on him a lot. I do love Roger Waters as a songwriter. I really do.
Oh yeah, no, he seems. I think I said before,
such a prig of a human being, but
yeah, he seems. Well, what I've seen, it seems like he might. I don't know if he has a mental thing or something, but it seems like he goes in flows where there's times where you can see him in an interview and he seems like the nicest guy in the world. And then times where he's in an interview and he seems like he has the biggest chip on his shoulder and he seems like an insufferable ass.
Yeah. I don't know.
And it's like, yeah, I don't know if it's a bipolar thing or something. I don't know anything, but yeah, Roger is all over the place.
Yeah, he definitely is.
Let's see. You kicked off number 10.
I kicked off. Yeah, we're on number 10s now.
I'm pretty sure I am next. What was my number 10?
I don't know.
Oh, sure. Yes. My number 10 is, it's a first appearance on this list. Atom Heart Mother. Atom Heart Mother, I feel like is part of a trilogy of albums where you hear them finding their sound. This and the next two albums are them finding their sound. They're not 100% there yet, but they're getting really fucking close. They're experimental. They're playing around with noises, essentially, figuring out how to make it sound the coolest, getting very atmospheric. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy this album. What are my favorites? Oh yeah, If is catchy, but Atom Heart Mother Sweet is like an awesome, like one of their 20-minute plus longer songs, which is just epic.
Imagine if that was the encore.
Yeah, well,
featuring the Ohio State Marching Band.
That'd be fucking awesome.
That would be amazing.
That would be fucking awesome.
I mean, it's kind of shocking that the Atom Heart Mother Suite isn't their best song over 20 minutes, but it gets outdone on the next album.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So
but
good,
yes,
so that
it is
that. Oh, I'll wait till one of us gets to it to bring it up.
Yeah, nobody's brought up that album yet, so we will get to it. We won't get into it.
Yes, we will.
But we'll have a good jumping off point with my number 9.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. And George, you're number 10.
So here's a big difference so far, but I put Saucer Full of Secrets as my number 10. And lots of things I like about this one. I mean, it is kind of starting to shake Sid a little bit, but he's still very much a big presence on this.
Oh, yeah.
Let There Be More Light is the opening track. It's really cool. I actually heard a song by the Chemical Brothers back in the 90s when they used to play music videos. You guys remember music videos on TV?
In the before times.
Yeah.
On what? On what? Music videos on TV?
It was a song, a song by the Chemical Brothers called Block Rockin' Beats, and they had sampled the guitar riff from that track, Let There Be More Light.
Oh.
So definitely a cool use of a sample. But favorite track on here actually is the title track, A Saucer Full of Secrets. Again, another really cool, like, long electronic ambient piece that kind of like, I really felt like what they were doing with ambient music and electronic music at this point is what really set the stage for like a lot of the early electronic acts, especially like the German bands that were kicking off the kind of electronic revolution. So the choir sections, when you get to like the church organs, very, very cool. Like the choir sections that kind of come in a little later, just awesome. I think that's a very underrated track, but yes, only album to feature all 5 members.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
so,
yes, it is.
Not my favorite, but I feel it's a little underrated in the catalog. So, Saucer Full of Secrets, number 10 for me.
Cool. So my number 9. Oh, and my phone just went to sleep. Oh God. Oh,
Wake it up.
I actually remember what it is though. It is Obscured by Clouds. This is part of the trilogy of where they're really starting to find their sound. It's Atom Heart Mother, the album I haven't brought up yet, and then Obscured by Clouds. So before I talked about the beginning of this trilogy, this is the ending of the trilogy. They're really finding themselves in these albums, and you can tell it's getting close to sinking in. I think in the middle album is where it really sinks in, and they get a little bit further away from that here, but then you can see it all comes together after that. But Obscured by Clouds, lots of good stuff. I picked Childhood's End as my favorite, but yeah, most any track on here I could pick as a favorite. They're all pretty. I think they're all pretty equal. And it's always an album where I never really think of it, but when I put it on, I always enjoy it. Just beginning to end. Solidly good album. Let's see. George, you're number 9.
Number 9. Picked Atom Heart Mother. It's my number 9. Yeah, pretty much everything you said about this, Bob, is kind of spot on with what I think about it. The opening track is incredible. The Atom Heart Mother suite. I mean, as far as early Pink Floyd, like pre-Dark Side, it's easily like a top 10 track from that era.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Fat Old Sun kind of brings back kind of like the orchestral parts with the brass especially is really cool. And then Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast. I think that was an Alan Parsons collaboration, I think. And he would come back.
Possibly.
Yeah, because I think he engineered this one. They used him again for Dark Side.
Yeah, I know he was heavily involved in that Dark Side documentary I watched, and yeah, they talk about him a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, in case you're wondering, it's Alan Parsons of Alan Parsons Project, if you're listening.
The same Alan Parsons that worked on the Let It Be sessions.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the Death Ray from Austin Powers, he also worked on that, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
that
of course.
That's what he's infamous for.
I'm a huge fan. I recommend all of Alan Parsons projects. Albums are awesome. If you love Floyd, you will love those albums.
Yeah.
Very, very bold album cover on this, by the way.
Yes, very Top Secret-esque before Top Secret was a thing, right?
Yeah. This is where just slap anything on an album cover and make a statement, and I feel like that's what that is. So.
And if you don't get the reference to Top Secret, that means you need to watch the movie Top Secret, early Val Kilmer comedy gold.
Yes. If you like Airplane, Naked Gun, same crew,
Hot
check
Shots.
that movie out. Yeah.
Let's see. So number 9. Bobby, you're number 9.
Dark Side of the Moon.
What?
Oh,
get out of here!
Here it starts. Okay. I know, controversial pick, but commercially, it is one of the best-selling albums ever. Like, just no argument, ever, right?
No, yeah.
Now, I believe I read in an interview that Roger once said that this album is kind of meant to be put and heard as a full piece, not to be broken up. This did have a lot of like single success too, and I feel that takes away a bit more from the full message of the album, because it talks about one's greed and capitalism and kind of the record industry a little bit, but not really. That's at least what I feel the messages are behind this album. But I mean, my favorite parts of it, are obviously, Any Color You Like, Great Gig in the Sky, which is just amazing. The singer on that, actually, I think I want to say later sued to have an album credit, like a writing credit on there. And
really?
Later pressings,
really?
Yeah, because she only got a performance, but she also got a writing credit later on.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
Well, I know they talked about how she went to the studio and like they didn't know what they want her to do and just had her experiment. So yeah, it's essentially like, you know, writing on the spot. But yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's like writing and performing or improvising literally on the spot. Yeah. And as a singer, you know, their voice is their instrument. So, but yeah, and I'm not ranking it low just to have it be like, oh, it's the commercially successful one. It needs to be this low because it's just no, it's nothing like that. It's just for me, it is the first album that I ever got into with them. So it's the one that I am definitely the most familiar with. I mean, if I was just hating it to hate on it, I would have put it at 15. But there's still like a lot of great stuff on here that, you know, I have like a lot of fond attachment to, you know, like where I was the first time I ever heard it, or, you know, fond memories like that. But I don't know. I feel like I hear it broken up a lot on the radio, and I think back to that interview a lot. And I go, man, that really does just defeat the whole purpose of it, because I just kind of want to listen to the full album as a whole now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all. I feel that its success kind of hurts its message sometimes. Mm-hmm. So it's a personal reason why. So yeah.
You see, I thought I would get in trouble for where I ranked that one, but we're still a little bit away from it for me. But it's also worth noting this is actually like this album was a huge dynamo, and it is actually not their most successful album. It's only their second most.
It is their that's right.
But yeah, this was huge. But I will definitely get to it more later. Let's see. Oh, we are to my number 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't done number 9 yet. What the hell? I'm being lazy. No, wait, I did number 9.
Did you? I think I'm last. We're on number 8 now.
Yeah, that was obscured, yeah. So, George is going to be your number 8.
Okay. Number 8, I picked The Piper at the Gates of Dawn, which I think is, as far as debut albums go, like this is a phenomenal debut album.
Very much so.
Definitely, it's very heavy on the 60s production. I mean, and I only attribute that to just the limited technology, you know, at the time. And, but, you know, they made great use of it. Almost every song on here that they played live was like an extended version or an alternate take. So I think they kind of more doing more better in the live arena, I would say, than the studio. They kind of were known for their live shows back then, and incorporating the visuals and the lights and kind of surround sound at the venues. But yeah, just again, I mentioned this earlier, that the lyrics are kind of cute, kiddish, but very clever. Like, I think Syd Barrett was a lyrical genius. Musically, it's not overly impressive, but they have a lot of interesting instruments they incorporate, like different types of like xylophones, pianos, organs, interesting guitar effects. Trying to, like, Matilda Mother has quite a few examples of odd instrumentation. But anyways, favorite song on this is Lucifer Sam, the song about the cat.
Nice.
So
well, it's worth noting that this is their first album. It's a very good first album. But like, if you've heard like a couple Pink Floyd songs on the radio and you're thinking, ooh, maybe I want to dive into Pink Floyd, I'll start with their first album. Probably not your best move.
Yeah, don't start
it is not. Yeah, this is not. This is an introduction to a very different Pink Floyd.
Yeah,
maybe not very different, but different.
and I wouldn't end here either. Like, definitely listen to this one.
Oh yeah,
somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a good album though. Let's see. Bobby.
My number 8 is also Piper at the Gates of Dawn. Yeah, this it's definitely a perfect introductory album to the band themselves if you're very familiar with the band already. And that I have to stress that part enough. Like there's a lot of great stuff on this album, like Astronomy Donme, Lucifer Sam, Interstellar Overdrive, Scarecrow, The Gnome, Bike even. I do enjoy the goofiness of Bike. It's silly.
Mm-hmm.
It's silly, innocent fun. And even those early music videos that they made of stuff for Arnold Lane, which if you think about the song, I mean it was kind of super taboo. I'm getting my albums mixed up again. No, I'm not.
I
was just saying Arnold Lane, and then I was thinking, wait a minute, am I getting my albums mixed up? No, Arnold Lane.
Arnold Lane's on this one. I'm pretty sure.
Same year, but I believe
it's
a single. Yeah.
It is a single.
Oh.
It is a single.
Yeah.
Because they had made a music video for Arnold Lane, and they also made one for the Scarecrow. Or for Scarecrow, which I don't know. Have you guys ever seen either of those videos?
Yeah.
I've seen bits of Scarecrow, I want to say.
Okay.
About Arnold Lane.
Yeah, the Arnold Lane one is kind of weird, but it's just what you would expect from Pink Floyd, But a lot of it's like George had said, it's very the 60s influence is definitely there, and I mean obviously the album was produced and made in the 60s, but at the peak of psychedelic rock. But this album is it's so unique in so many different ways. The experimentation in it is great. The many use of instruments. George, you did hit on a lot of points. I'm trying to find other points to talk about and praise this album. But as I'm thinking of a musician's point, and you just hit all the points. So yeah.
Well, it's definitely we've all brought up Piper now, so it is at the end.
Piper's end.
My number 8 is something that's been brought up way before then. I definitely enjoy more than you guys. It's something I actually didn't enjoy a whole lot the first time I heard it, but listening to it more recently, I kind of dig it. And it is The Endless River. I just kind of dig this album listening to it more recently. It's just great. I hate to call it ambient stuff because it sounds like I'm dismissing it, but kind of is. But it's really fucking good ambient stuff. I just dig it. The Allions, Allen's Wise, I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's a song that appears in different forms 3 times in there. I like all 3 of those. I think those just sound so cool. And yeah, I just kind of dig this album. I don't have a whole lot to say about it, except, it was obvious it came out later. They had Richard's stuff already recorded on it, and Nick and David just add to it. And it just kind of works for me right now. I don't know if it's just where I'm at right now in my life, but I dig it. So next is number 7.
Number 7.
And Bobby, you are kicking us off.
All right, my number 7 is The Division Bell.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one normally I would have said would have been a bit lower for me, but upon further review, this one really grew on me. I kind of like the growth in the band as with their sound at the time, because they're progressing with the actual technology at the time this album's coming out. So the use of MIDI was definitely more predominant in this album than it was on the previous album, which I'll get into later. But I really still enjoyed the song structure, because unlike when Roger was at the helm, a lot of the albums had their own narrative, their own set story they were telling. But I felt like this was more of a collection of stories, because I believe this one they seeked a lot of outside songwriters for this one. So it's not a lot that are written by David on this, but it's still a Pink Floyd album.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I know David. Obviously, David, Nick, and Richard were involved with this one, and David was kind of at the helm of all these albums after Roger left.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of writers involved.
I think, and that's usually lyrically, because I think he always struggled with lyrics, but like from a band perspective, I think, those two albums, had a lot of the musical contributions by the existing members, but the lyrics, that was kind of more Roger's arena previously. So
now, like, I'd say definite highlights from this for me are definitely Marooned. Though it's an instrumental, it's a beautiful, like, it kind of gives us a great taste of what's to come with Endless River. But I mean, listening to it, you do really feel marooned and just isolated. What Do You Want From Me and is another great song on there. Coming Back to Life is another great one. The band we saw played that, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
And High Hopes and Keep Talking.
All right. Okay, so it goes to me. My number 7, I just looked at, what was that? Oh, yeah, it's really close for me between number 7 and number 6. And my number 7 ended up being Metal. Metal is really a collection of some of the best and possibly the worst Pink Floyd song ever. Like, you have One of These Days and Echoes, which I would put in absolute top tier Pink Floyd, no question. Fearless and A Pillow of Winds, really fucking good Pink Floyd. And then you have San Tropez, which is fine. And then Seamus, which is the worst thing I think they've ever done. But yeah, Metal is really, it's the middle part of that trilogy I was talking about, where this really feels like where they really get it down. This is Pink Floyd. This is the first one that I'd say is the album that kind of defines them later, because it's good. Oh yeah, and also random note, this is Geddy Lee of Rush favorite Pink Floyd album.
Yeah.
But yes, Metal. George, what's your number 7?
Metal. And
twist.
I'm going to repeat what Bob said about this word for word. The best, actually, my all-time favorite Pink Floyd song is Echoes. And my all-time least favorite Pink Floyd song is Seamus. So it's kind of odd that this guy. Actually, I like San Tropez, but
it's kind of catchy, but it's not one of their best.
Pillow of Winds and Fearless are very good tracks. They're not like outstanding, but One of These Days and Echoes are like, it's what Bob said. They are like top of the line Pink Floyd songs. I mean,
absolutely top tier. Yeah,
and I think One of These Days is probably the most timeless track on here. It's just so mind-bending. They have several of those from this point on. They have tracks on their albums where you listen to it and it's like, given the time frame that it came out, it's like, how the hell did they come up with that? That's when they really started getting into like the studio wizardry of manipulations and sequencing and electronics and coming up with different types of sounds by using guitar pedals incorrectly or whatever. It's just awesome. Metal number 7.
Okay, so it's my turn for number 6. Oh yeah, Bobby just brought up not that long ago. Big twist. My number 6, and it is close between this and the Metal because they're both really good, but I just ever so slightly edge towards this one, and it's The Division Bell.
Oh,
this is just, it's a damn fucking good album. I don't know what else to say. I like most of the albums, most of the tracks. High Hopes would probably be my favorite, but Marooned is great. Take It Back. Yeah. I don't know if that was the big single. I think Come Back to Life was the big single, but like Take It Back was the one I remember hearing on the radio a lot.
I think it was Take It Back.
God, that's catchy and fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, What Do You Want From Me is awesome. All these tracks are awesome. It's just a good album. And it doesn't have Seamus, which I think might have given it a slight edge. It's just, I don't. Quite frankly, if Seamus wasn't on metal, it definitely would have won. So yeah, but yeah, Division Bell, it's a good one. Probably not brought up enough, but it's good.
My number 6 picked Animals, and this was really. I don't know if you guys agreed, but it was really cool seeing this perform live. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This isn't what I listen to regularly on its own, but when we saw it perform live in its entirety, that was really a lot of fun. So, like, musically, this is an incredible album. The reason why I put it a little lower on the list, I would have maybe put it a little higher. Conceptually, it's really good, but I don't think it has a lot of the diversity of other albums. Like, there's no really cool ballads or straight up sound. I just kind of felt like they just came up with this concept and then rolled with it, and it turned out great. My favorite track on, I can't decide if it's Pigs or Sheep. I love the opening to Pigs, so I'm gonna go with that.
We haven't gotten to it yet, but yeah, those middle 3 tracks.
Yeah,
are
so hard. I found a hard time picking my favorite out of 3.
Yeah, I feel Pigs on the Wing is kind of weak, but the
well, yeah, but it's the intro and outro,
just incredible. The middle section of Sheep is also very cool when they started playing with vocoders,
and
which they would
guitars at the end. I mean,
yeah, the guitar riff at the end is incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely did some new things with this that they would revisit a little later. But yeah, an incredible artwork on that too. It's one of my favorite album covers by them. So yeah, number 6.
Wish
Bobby,
you were
you're
here.
Number 6. We're getting into deep. We're getting into the.
We're getting into the meat. Yep.
Wish you were here.
Yeah.
Number 6. Now, not to be understated by the Shine On suites from the beginning that like bookend this album. Those are absolute fucking masterpieces, all on their own. And I kind of feel it's a shame that they had to be cut into 2 pieces. And I love finding like actual edits of them where people have either sliced both like or put 2 MP3s of it together and made it one full giant song. I know that either like some record company or the band themselves released like a series of Shine-Ons where it was like every different part of the suite as its own individual track, and then at the end of it had like all as one, so it's like both songs piled on together.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I mean, I know it was a long time back in the days of torrenting. I had downloaded a torrent of it and it had that album on there, but it's not on YouTube Music or not on Spotify that I've found. So I think maybe somebody did it themselves and just added it to the file. But
it's possible.
But all right. So Shine On aside, this album still has a lot of great stuff on there. And this is also still in the time when they really started incorporating a lot of like their live shows and making them way bigger and like grander, you know, with all the lights and everything and their actual performance. Actually, I had read while on tour for this, they would actually bring out a stand and put a microphone up next to a radio and tune into local frequencies before they'd start the show or that song, just like we saw the band do. Like Pink Floyd actually did that too. So that's pretty cool. But it was hard for me to put it this low on the list because this album does have a lot of great, you know, tracks on it. You know, Welcome to the Machine is one of my favorites on here. Have a Cigar.
I was disappointed not to hear that.
I was a little disappointed not to hear
that. Was
Welcome
one of the ones
Machine.
where I was like, I want to hear that.
That's an all-time favorite. Yeah.
Yeah. Have a Cigar. That's actually doing some reading for the list. I found out that is actually meant to be like a sequel to Money.
I could see that.
And I
really?
totally get it because
Yeah,
it
yeah.
fits the same narrative, but it's like, them just like, hey, yeah, now you made us a lot of money. How about you make us some more? By the way, which one's pink? Yeah. And I know that's actually based because I know some record executive actually did say that to them. Like asked them, which one's pink.
And a fun fact, that's Roy Harper on the lead vocal.
Huh.
That isn't either Roger or David there.
Okay.
There's a demo version where I think David sings it, but the final version is Roy Harper.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I didn't know that.
I did not know that. I didn't. I assumed it was David. Number 5.
Number 5. I actually was in the process of fact-checking my Roy Harper trivia.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the case, but I'm like 90% sure. But yeah, number 5, I picked the Division Bell. And every time I listen to this, I forget how many good songs there is on this album.
There are a lot of good ones.
The track High Hopes, though, I would put that in my top 10 all-time favorite Pink Floyd songs. It's just such a moving piece.
Yeah.
And like you said, Bobby, Marooned is just probably one of the best instrumentals they ever put out.
Yeah.
I love Keep Talking. If you can't tell, I'm huge on electronic music, and that was the perfect fusion of electronica and rock in that track. Bob, I think you're right. I think Take It Back was the kind of the big single off of this.
But I don't hear people talk about that. They usually, when they talk about the singles, they talk about Come Back to Life. But I remember Take It Back on the radio.
And I swear I've seen the music video quite a few times for that too. But
it might be there's between UK charts and US charts.
That could very well be. And I think I heard this one pretty early on. I think this was on the first handful of albums I heard by them. I think I heard it on cassette. So
yeah, I think this might have been one of the last ones I heard. I don't remember.
Again,
I think I listened to
also one of my favorite album covers. Such an iconic album cover there.
Yeah, it is fairly iconic. Like when you see that, know what that is.
Yeah.
So.
It's really one of my favorite parts of visiting the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because I think they have some of the props from that still. Like they have the faces.
Nice.
And fun fact about a lot of their album covers is they're not drawings. They are actually real photographs. Like these are things that were built in real life. Like this is, I think these are
a structure.
statues. Yep.
Wow.
And the buildings you see in the background, that's a distant shot. So yeah, it's I'm pretty sure, and Bob, we talked about this in the Genesis video. Same team, I think, are Hypnosis, based out of the UK. Did a lot of their sleeves, led by Storm Thorgerson. He was like kind of a head designer. Yeah, they did a lot of the Genesis sleeves and the Alan Parsons and Moody Blues and kind of like the big UK prog bands that were heavily involved in that. So, yep.
Yeah.
Number 5.
My number 5 pick is The Wall.
Ooh.
Yes. Again, I'm a big fan of like when a band will like take a chance and actually like go for a full concept, because I really consider this to be like one of their major full idea concept albums from preconception to, final product. Even like with the tour and everything. This is also the first, like, well, not the first time, but one of the first. Well, actually, this was like when they started making their. They turned into a whole giant rock opera, a whole big production. They had a giant wall on stage. That the first set of the album, which they would go and play in its entirety, they would have it first. The first set, the wall would just be constructed. And then for the second half, they would have a surrogate band, which that album that came out with the fake masks. Yeah, so these studio musicians would wear those masks in front of the stage, posing as the band, while the real band was behind the wall playing. So, like for In the Flesh, we sent a surrogate band along.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm.
So this, like, Roger wanted this to be like a full media experience, like, and but when Roger first presented the idea to the band for two-way, he had two ideas, like a collection of demos for two ideas that he had for their next album. One was a collection of songs that he called Bricks in the Wall, and the other was another project that they passed on, but later that album would be recorded under Roger as a solo project called The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, with this one, I just really enjoy this album. Like, I think it is definitely a rock opera in every aspect of it. It has a lot of theatrical elements to it that I love, and it's just a personal favorite of mine. So that's why I have a place there. So number 5, The Wall.
I think it's me. Yes. So my number 5 is. Can I come off my number 5? Oh yeah, number 5. My number 5 is Dark Side. Dark Side of the Moon. This was their first really big album. This is really where the sounds really came together. This is an album. Definitely, it's an experience album. Like, you don't listen to tracks on this album. You listen to it from beginning to end, and it is so good. Picking tracks on it, it's a little rough. I kind of cheat and I go with Brain Damage Eclipse because I feel like those two songs are really just one song and they flow together perfectly, and I love it. It's a great closer.
They really do.
Best transition song.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Best transition.
But yeah, it's such a great album. I mean, I enjoy Money. It's fun. Breathe is a great opener. Great Gig in the Sky. God, the vocals in that are so good. We brought up earlier.
Yeah.
So goddamn good. But yeah, this is just a classic album. This is one of the best-selling albums for a reason. It's fantastic.
My number 5? I already did my number 5. Or number 4.
Number 4.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm confused. I'm spreading my confusion to everyone.
What day is it?
Momentary Lapse of Reason.
Nice.
Number 4, yeah. I'm a real big David Gilmour fan. I think he has an incredible control of his own tone and expressing how his notes emotionally and through his music and playing that way. And this album really highlights a lot of it, though it through and through you can call it a solo David album. But it's just too damn good. It has a lot of great tracks on it, like Terminal Frost, Sorrow. The big commercial hit this, if I'm not mistaken, was Learning to Fly. Yeah, it was a big, because I've seen the music video of it. Yeah. And I want to say there was another one off of this.
I'm Turning Away, I think.
I'm Turning Away did all right, yeah. I mean, there's a few stuff that and Sorrow, yes. Sorrow is another one, if I didn't mention that. I will say, though, I do feel that the New Machine placed, both parts, Book Ending and Terminal Frost, is jarring at a first listen, but after a few more, you kind of get used to hearing it, and it's kind of almost like I know what's coming up next sort of a thing. And yet another movie is also pretty decent.
Yeah, I've always thought that thinking back to the vocoder voices you hear in the middle of Sheep, that that idea of a New Machine was kind of the continuation of that, because it kind of has that robotic vocal effect, and it kind of references Welcome to the Machine by title a little bit. So yeah, I thought that was a clever, even if they're just bookend tracks. But yeah.
I do know that they did re-release this album recently, but they did it where Nick Mason wasn't really happy with the drum sound, so he recorded new drum parts for the whole album.
Well, I think a lot of the original recording is lots of drum machine and maybe even guest musicians.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the re-release is all Nick Mason.
It's just all Nick Mason, and it's definitely worth a release. And it even has a new title branding on it. It's not that one. It's like all the beds in the desert and the hang glider just kind of off.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. But I do like that original sound with the drum machines because it kind of dates the album a little, but it kind of but I kind of really like the sound of
it's punchier.
Era. Yeah, I really enjoy the sound of keyboards and stuff, especially with prog and even jam band music like that. Like with that element in it and just with the key sounds, it's just I really enjoy it. So it's just kind of a personal favorite of mine. But yeah, that is number 4.
And this will be Animals. Animals. It's something I didn't even think about till George brought up how I feel like they are less experimental with this, but oh my god, I feel like it works so well. Like they know what they're going for, and they just kind of nail it in this one. Yes, I would say Pigs on the Wings are definitely the weak parts of this album, but it's a 40-minute album, and I think those 2 songs together are around 3 minutes.
Just about.
A very mild complaint.
Yes, I probably actually my favorite track on here would probably be Dogs. I really like it. It's the longest one on here, but it works. It doesn't quite make the 20-minute club, but it's pretty close.
In my drinking days, one of my favorite things to do was to go to a bar before I'd leave. I would play like a super long track on the jukebox, like either the Allman Brothers Mountain Jam, but sometimes it would be Pink Floyd, and very rarely would they have Adam Hart Mother or Metal, you know? But they always had Animals. And they always had those 3 songs to pick. So, depending on how my mood, you know, I had my pick of 3.
Yeah.
It was mostly Sheep.
Well, I know, I don't know which, I know I've heard Pigs on the radio. I don't know if I've heard
I can't say I've heard any of those on the radio.
I have heard
I've definitely
Dogs.
heard Pigs. Really?
I've heard Dogs. But to be fair, it was NPR. So they were playing excerpts of it, and they were talking about like the recording industry at that time and like prog musicians and stuff. And so that like I kind of heard like, oh, okay, cool. It's NPR. I'm not surprised I'm hearing this on NPR. But yes.
Yeah.
That's that. But yeah, other than that, I think I'll probably hear Comfortably Numb more, or Hey You.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Money. I'll very rarely hear Us and Them. Very rarely.
I occasionally hear Us.
Very rarely, yeah.
It's almost always Another Brick in the Wall Part 2.
It's almost always that, yeah.
Yes,
almost always that.
If you hear things. Well, that's the thing. Like, you listen to a classic rock station, you're gonna mostly get Another Brick in the Wall Part 2, but you might get some of the other ones. You listen to like any like normal radio station, pretty much all you're getting is Another Brick.
I've heard Welcome to the I've heard Welcome to the Machine on the radio before.
I've definitely
heard High Hopes once, and I stayed on the station. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Turn this up.
Absolutely.
So that was my number 4, which brings us to George's number 4.
Ooh.
Nitty gritty.
Momentary. Lapse.
Child you sacrifice.
I think this was actually the second one I heard. I'm pretty sure Dark Side was the first one I listened to. And this one it reminded me a lot of Dark Side, but using kind of more modern type digital sounds. Like, and I think they even referenced that a bit with One Slip, where they did kind of like digital alarm clocks at the beginning rather than the analog beginnings of time. Yeah, On the Turning Away kind of felt like there's a lot of Wish You Were Here in this too, like Signs of Life and On the Turning Away both feel like very Wish You Were Here-esque. But
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, like the songs are really strong on here. David's solos are really good. It's a very moving album musically. You can tell he kind of struggles with the lyrics a bit, but like especially I think Yet Another Movie is my favorite cut on here. It's kind of has like this very brooding kind of vibe to it, but it has all these like pretty keyboards and saxophones, and then it kind of has like this tension build up at the end with like the Casablanca movie samples at the end, and then it kind of segues in around and around with this very uplifting, minute and a half, and then some. Yeah, it's just such an epic track on here. One Slip just has a very cool groove to it. I've always loved that track, and I mean, I'll take this to my grave here. Dogs of War has the best saxophone solo in any of the Pink Floyd songs.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It is good.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's my number 4, Momentary.
My immediate reaction to combat, oh yeah, well, what about this song? And I stopped myself because that's not a Pink Floyd song. That is a Rolling Stones song. So never mind.
That will slow you down. That one. All right, so Bobby. Okay, so I'm leading off number 3.
Yeah, you are.
Aha. And my number 3, actually, we're so close. We're picking children. I can pretty much tell you immediately what my number 3 is, and it is "Wish You Were Here."
Do it.
This album does not have a single bad track on it.
No, it does not.
It is classic Pink Floyd from beginning to end. Having to pick a favorite, I go with Welcome to the Machine, but I do enjoy Have a Cigar. Shine On is really great. Wish You Were Here might be my least favorite, but I don't know if it's technically my least favorite or if I've just heard it so much that I'm least interested in it.
I might agree with you on that, Bob.
Because it's a really good song. Is. But like I'll listen to anything else on the album first, honestly. I think Welcome to the Machine has to be my favorite, but God, like this might be a really great Pink Floyd starting record if we're talking about starting records, because it's just great Pink Floyd through and through. Just I don't know what else to say other than fantastic fucking album.
Yeah.
I guess some of these are lining up a little bit. Wish You Were Here.
Yeah. I already turned off that picture. How dare you?
I heard this one a little later. There was a handful of CDs that a friend let me borrow. This was not one of them. So, but when I first heard this, I'm like, again, it's like they were the forefront of like studio technology and synths and guitar effects, and like I heard this and I'm like, okay, it's kind of blew me away quite a bit. Welcome to the Machine. It's still mind-boggling how they achieved that type of sound at this time. This was just 75 on this one. 1975. Yeah, incredible. Absolutely incredible. Shine On, just absolute fantastic. I listen to the live versions a lot in the car. It's part of like the Delicate Sound of Thunder and Pulse and all of that.
Yeah. Both of those are great cuts. Great cuts, especially on Delicate Sounds of Thunder.
Yeah, every time it comes on, Brian says it reminds him of Tron. The opening of it reminds him of the movie Tron. And that's probably true. It's like that. I mean, they were leading that type of futuristic sound that was starting to, partake in, all of the, like I said, the European electronic movement. A lot of new wave bands were taking note of their use of like synths and like studio tricks and things like that. But absolutely, this is Wish You Were Here. I might agree with you, Bob. Might be the weak track on here. It's a very stripped down and modest track compared to like these, the rest of the album is just all heavy on technology and layering and stuff, but that song is just stands. It's a huge song for them too. It's like you can't.
Yeah.
It's one of their classic standout tracks, but it feels a little out of place on the album, but in a way that works, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird. Like if I didn't hear it all the time, and let's say Have the Cigar was the one I hear all the time, I might have more of appreciation for it because it really does stand out as something different on the album.
Right.
But yeah, I do hear it all the time, and I think that might diminish it in my mind, which might be unfortunate. It doesn't speak to the actual song quality, I don't think, because it is a great song.
But also love the album art of the man shaking hands with himself, but his other self was on fire. That's I love that.
Yes.
So beautiful.
And then the label. I try to pull it out here. Another iconic image just on the label there is the two robotic hands shaking.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Probably referencing kind of like the
Welcome to the Machine.
Yeah, the Welcome to the Machine, all the like electronica they have on that. So, all right, I'll stop babbling. Incredible album.
How dare
Number
you?
3.
How dare you talk about the album in this album ranking?
Here.
Bobby, you're number 3.
Animals. Now, I did some research on this one. I think again, just they had an idea, and Roger, this is a time when Roger uses his powers of creativity for good, and in turn his alienation with touring, and getting pissed off with fans because at the time they were the tour they were doing, it required a lot of setup, and the only stadiums that could hold them were these giant arenas. So, setup took a long time. People started piling in a lot, and they'd get bored waiting. And, they'd get, so they would be partying while they're waiting for Pink Floyd to come on. And they'd kind of be a little reckless. So there were a lot of cases on the tour leading up to this album where, Roger was getting frustrated with the crowd, And even on this tour too, like I think it was a 4th of July thing where people kept setting off fireworks in the middle of like the sets, pissing Roger off. But yes, but I know that before they went to the studio, most of Dogs and Sheep were already complete and written. Pigs was the only one on this album that was written with the idea behind the concept and for the concept of this album. Now, for the album cover,
that's interesting to know.
They put together a film crew of 14 still photographers and a helicopter and a marksman. Now, the first day that they got this giant pig, because first, Roger's idea of it was the same, the pig floating in between the power company building. And, they were saying, well, Roger, we could just superimpose it. We don't have to, get a pig or anything. Nope, Roger's like, we're getting a pig. They had one commissioned that was 30 feet long and 20 feet high. So the first attempt that they got it, the pig wouldn't inflate. So they got a couple of pictures, which later did become the liner notes or the liner photos that we saw inside the album. The second attempt, the production, the lead of it, of the shoot, failed to get a marksman for the day. So guess what happened? The pig got free, flew over near the airport, actually gave the band a lot of good free press for the album, and it crashed in a farmer's field somewhere around Kent. Now, the third time, the skies didn't look that great or clear blue skies like they were on the original day that they went to go shoot. So they ended up superimposing it anyways. But yes, the album is great. Wish You Were Here, or sorry, that was my next notes. But those. But yeah, favorite song on this. It's hard to pick a favorite off of this. Like even with my next few rankings, it's hard for me to pick a favorite song off of it, except for my number 2.
I actually didn't know that they were going for practical on this, and honestly, it really makes you miss the days where they could actually put a budget into an album.
Yeah, nowadays
It's because there's no way they would give any money to anything like that. They'd be like, "You're
no way
superimposing that.
in
Fuck you."
No, we're photoshopping
Yeah.
it. Look,
yeah, it's so easy
dude,
with
it's
Photoshop to
done.
do anything
It's done.
you want to do, and it's like you got to really appreciate the amount of effort and like
Yeah.
just incredible photographs.
Oh.
All
I
of his
mean, all
albums.
my complaints about Roger, I didn't know he actually was trying to get that actual pig in between those power.
I kind of respect him a little bit more after that.
Smoke towers. That is insane.
No, fuck it, we're gonna do it.
Dig it.
Number 2 pick is Dark Side of the Moon. I think the first Pink Floyd album I heard. Wish You Were Here has, I think, a more timeless sounding studio work, but again, I was just absolutely blown away the first time I heard this. Couldn't believe that they were coming up with these type of sounds in 1973. It's, like the electronics, the guitar effects. It's just incredible. Favorite song on here is Time. And I feel like too, this is one of their most diverse albums too, of different styles. Like every track on here has its own unique style, and it
all flows too, which is kind of amazing. Oh
yeah,
and it's one of their, like you said, second best-selling album, Bob, and for good reason. And if you're getting into the band, this is really where you should be starting. It's it's for good reason why this album is so popular and considered one of the best of all time. It's top tier, not just for Pink Floyd, but for any band really. So Dark Side.
I brought up Wish You Were Here as a good intro album, but like this would probably be my number 1 pick for an intro album because it was my introduction. It was
it was my introduction as well. It is the perfect intro album.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So number 2, Dark Side.
And Bobby, you're number 2.
Metal. Because unlike you two heartless bastards, I love dogs. So,
You love Seamus the dog?
No, I will agree. It is the weakest song on the album. However, other than that, this is a good point. I could pick a favorite song on here, but how could I pick a favorite song that won't be outshadowed by echoes? It's definitely that quintessential sound. Like when you think of Pink Floyd, you think of echoes, and like so many different. I could pick any movement of there. Like I could open it up on my player now. And any part of it is just like,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we don't want to get a strike, but any part of it, it's hard to pick a favorite song. So, I mean, in the sense of it being a vinyl, that's definitely my favorite side of the album.
Oh, yeah.
Like, without hesitation. A Pillow of Winds, Fearless, Saint-Tropez, they're great songs. They all have their own feel. I actually really enjoy the guitar work in Seamus, like David's slide work. It's kind of cool. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Somebody's dog was there, but hey, it happened.
A dog was in the studio for some reason.
Yeah, it's cool. And of course, one of these days was something else we were treated to with the Wish You Were Here band, and man, that's in the review. I've seen them a number of times. And that one definitely is always a treat. I think out of all the times they maybe once haven't played it.
Oh, really? I don't know.
That's cool.
It is. Great
It really is. I think instead they opted out and played Run Like Hell instead. It was more wall heavy tour. So I mean, hey, that's also cool.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't get the trial. I'm still wanting to see that live.
Yeah.
Just I'd want to see somebody stand there and say with complete seriousness, fills me with the urge to defecate. and with emotion. Like I'm still wanting to see that, you know. Now, in 1990, Roger did play the Wall in Berlin, and I did listen to this while kind of doing it, and I kind of felt like, you know, I've listened to these albums enough. I'm gonna kind of diverge a little and listen to, like, you know, some of their individual stuff. And while getting through the end of that, I noticed a familiar voice at the beginning of the trial, and it was Tim Curry.
That's right.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I've heard that version. Yes.
It's just so perfect. And also one of my favorite groups, the band, was featured in there because I was listening to Mother and I was going, that's Levon Helm and Rick Danko. I know Levon Helm's voice anywhere. But that was a fun surprise treat. But yes, number 2, Metal. Of course, Echoes is perfect. Also, have you guys heard the myth about it syncing up to like the last few minutes of 2001?
No,
I don't think so. No, I think I've only heard of the Dark Side. With the
I was about to say, I can't believe we haven't brought up the Dark Side Wizard of Oz.
Dark Side.
I totally meant to, and that's what I was alluding to earlier. It was only 2 or 3 that's what I was alluding to earlier. Like, you know, one that when you first brought up Metal and you were talking about Echoes. And I was like, yeah, it's also something that, you know, later came from myth of something else. But I've also heard myths I think it's The Wall and Alice in Wonderland. Which
that one seems a little far stretched.
That one is, and I've seen like the supposed like sync up list, and it's fucking stretching there, but okay.
Yeah.
But I think it's oh god, I forget exactly where you started. I think it's as soon as you know, he opened the pod bay doors, Hal. Or like at the final moments from the whole final segment where it just shows of Jupiter. Yeah, that final 23 minutes. So even as he's going through the monolith, it's right during that building jam of echoes that do 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 do.
Oh, also fun fact about that guitar riff. There was didn't really turn into a lawsuit, but Andrew Lloyd Webber used it for later stage shows of Phantom of the Opera. So
now, the first you know what? I'm hearing it now.
Yeah, like
totally
the first time I heard it.
Yeah, I can hear that.
When I heard Echoes the first time, like, oh, this is Phantom of the Opera-esque. And then I like later found out that segment in the play in some of the later movies was post Echoes. I'm like, oh, you totally ripped that off.
Oh, you totally. Yeah. Andrew Lloyd Webber's a huge.
I heard Phantom later, and I was like, God, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, so like someone
for.
I think there's a Roger Waters interview in a magazine or something where they dismissed it, but he was like, I have more important things to do than sue fucking Andrew Lloyd Webber. But they at least acknowledged it. So
classy Roger. Classy as ever.
But since we're talking about syncing up, I'll always remember it was a line from Family Guy. I don't remember like Mort. I think the name of his character. But for some reason, somebody's going to stay over at his place, and he's like, with his family, we do the same thing every night. We listen to the album Hotel California and see if it syncs up to any movies.
No, I think
we've been doing this for years.
I think
and
it's
so
the
far,
news.
no.
Yeah, I think it was the nightly news or something like that. Yeah.
It's like, that sounds great. That sounds.
Well, I mean, I don't know. With the Dark Side of the Moon thing, I've heard that like the rumor is that it was playing on a TV while they were recording. Like that's the rumor I've heard.
Yeah,
a few things lined up really nicely, but
most of it doesn't.
I think it's like the second playthrough is when they sing the line in time, like, listen here, said the man with the gun, is when Tin Man has the gun and he's pointing it. I know that's one that's supposedly lined up the first playthrough of it, because I think with the full movie, it's like 2.5 full listens of the album.
Yeah, and you have to start it at very specific points, otherwise it doesn't quite.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I think the most noteworthy thing is when it becomes color is when
money starts.
It's money. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
like
the way
first
you could
cash
tell.
register.
And
it's like it sounds cool, but thematically does not match.
No,
all.
it doesn't. It doesn't.
No, and like I think the Munchkins also kind of dance and beat with the drums.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I think it's all coincidence, really.
I really do too. Now I do believe a Munchkin's hanging in the background of that movie. I do believe in that.
Some people do,
but that's another subject for a whole another day. Yeah.
Yes. Let's discuss Wizard of Oz theories, people.
Yeah, yes. Hey, we lured you in this far with Pink Floyd, and now we're talking Wizard of Oz.
All right. So has everyone done their number 2?
Yeah.
I've done mine. Have I? No, I have not.
No, you haven't. So I think you're up, Bob.
On you.
I guess I'll go ahead and do my number 2. Yes, this is my big controversial pick, everybody. It is Momentary. I absolutely love this album. As far as albums I listen to the most by Pink Floyd, this is my number 1 all the time. Like, honestly, there's so often where I'm like, I feel like listening to Pink Floyd, I'm going to put on Momentary just because I know it so well. And I just enjoy it thoroughly. This is a very interesting time in the band. It's most like the version I listen to, it's mostly just the David stuff because like Richard came on later, and I'm not sure what Nick wasn't there for all of it though. And it might have just been because they were spotty recording sessions because they were going through lots of legal battles because Roger didn't want them to use the name and he didn't want them to play any of his old songs that he wrote for him.
I think Richard Wright, the reason why he wasn't featured as much as the others is there was some legality that he was technically not allowed in the band at the time.
Yeah, he could only be a session musician.
Right. So they later, and I've pointed this out, your version of Momentary, Bob, has the picture of the 3 of them, where my version only has the 2, Nick and David pictured. Yeah, and your booklet had the 3 of them in it because they later on when they reissued it was well past that clause or whatever. So interesting.
Well, Richard he technically quit, but he was really fired by Roger after The Wall. And nobody was happy with Roger after the final cut. I think they had all had their last straw, and Roger left and they came back to do this. It's mostly David, but God, like I've listened to a lot of David's solo stuff. This is so far and away better than any of his solo stuff.
And I think that's why
it's not even close. It's not.
I think Bob Ezrin, it was originally going to be a David solo, but he's like, this is really, really, really good.
Yeah.
If you get the others on board, this needs to be a Pink Floyd record. And I agree. Like, the solo Pink Floyd members are fine on their own, but like same thing with Roger. It's like they're fine, but I wouldn't say any of the solo albums are better than any of the Pink Floyd albums. You know, it's
not at all. No.
It was too good to not release it as a Pink Floyd album.
Yeah. Now, I think David Gilmour's self-titled solo album is good enough on its own, comparable to some of like that time period stuff. Floyd,
sure.
I mean, out of his solo albums, I like it a lot better than About Face. On an Island is an improvement, but hey,
I was about to say On an Island's pretty good. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think David has the strongest solo albums out of everybody.
And he has the fewer too.
Yeah.
And
that sounds about right.
Didn't both Nick and Richard perform on tracks on Island? Both. I think they might have.
I think, and I think also Nick mostly would work with Roger afterwards. Which he and Roger seem to still get along just fine.
I will say what I saw from the documentaries with the band, Nick seems like probably the most easygoing of the bunch. He doesn't. He seems like he's not talking about any drama. He was just kind of there and he's having fun.
He's also the only Pink Floyd member to have appeared on every single studio release.
It's true.
Yeah.
He's also very very engaging with the band's legacy. When they put up, the archival box sets, he's always doing the interviews, and people ask him about the different pieces, the demos, and the unreleased stuff.
Oh yeah, he'll always answer fan questions and stuff.
Yeah. And he's like, well, no one else was willing to do it, so he's like, I kind of became the band's archivist and kept hold of all of the tour posters, all the demo tapes, all of the flyers. So like, he was pretty much the go-to person when they put these box sets together, which was really cool.
But yeah, Momentary, probably my big controversial pick. You are starting off our number one. You're
number ones.
Number one.
Number one.
5 is number one. Adam Hart Mother.
Yeah, I was about ready to say this one kind of surprised me looking at the numbers. But it's good. And
this is one that I later discovered after years and years. Like, this is probably one of the last albums by them, minus In This River, that I listened to.
Well, Endless River came out so much later that
but
almost doesn't count. But yeah,
this one, I there's just. There's something about it. I can't really put it best into words. Like, I just got this weird connection with it where I don't know. Music's a funny thing to where, like, a piece of music can just kind of grab you and like kind of really just take off. So that opening suite is just very beautiful, and I'd say, like both of you had mentioned, both of this song and Echoes are definitely, like, once you're into Floyd, like, required listening.
Yeah.
Top 10.
Because
Top 10 material. Yeah.
Yeah. That song, that opening suite, and this is like re-listening to it probably for the first time in like maybe a couple of years or a couple of months recently when I re-listened to it for this list. And I kind of just forgot how much I really just appreciate that piece in the beginning of the album, as opposed to like normally where most bands will put their big piece like at the end of the album, so it's like a journey to get there. They just throw it right in your face right away, like, yeah, here's what this is going to be about, and it's just this beautiful composition, and then it moves on to the actual tracks of the album. It has like If, which was that was a Roger Waters piece, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And Summer '68 was David. And if I'm not, and I want to say, what was that? What else is that? What else? The other track on there.
That one's Psychedelic Breakfast.
Yes. Yeah. Which was Nick, and I believe he recorded like Alan or some of the roadies just talking about what he had for breakfast. Just kept recording them day after day, talking about it, and it shows like the experimental stuff that we'll definitely see more of, like using samplings of like recordings and tape sampling that we'll later see utilized in Dark Side of the Moon. Like, I really think that Metal and Adam Hart are definitely like a double album. Like, they should be a double album.
That's fair. Yeah.
And
I noticed that listening to them, there's lots of similarities. They were both the ones with the big epic song.
That's why my number 1 and 2, because I really want to put them both in the same tier, because I feel like they could be a double album.
That's interesting.
Doubles, but yes, and I mean, just like with the Psychedelic Breakfast, you have your weird, as opposed to just having a human being go on about some stuff. They recorded a fucking dog howling.
Yeah.
No, you were
I'll take the Psychedelic Breakfast before Seamus.
You're absolutely right. I never really considered that, but yeah, totally.
No, it's something I really noticed with the recent re-listen, how both Adam Hart and Metal are structured very similar, except you have you have the giant song at the beginning of Adam Hart and then the giant song at the end of Metal, but like,
there's
structurally it's very similar.
Then there's like you said, the experimental song, and then they have one that's maybe a little more bluesy or jazzy, and a song that's a little more laid back, like Pillow of Winds, or If would be the equivalent there.
Yeah, and San Tropez for Metal, because that one I hear like a lot. I like almost like a reggae and early honky tonk country.
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
With that little slide.
Yeah.
Which I later hear in Ween stuff.
All right, time for me to get to my number one, and it looks like George and I might be lining up on this one.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's The Wall. I am a sucker for these huge concept albums, and this one, I don't think it's my favorite album anymore, but for years it was. It's still high up there. Like, if you asked me to make a top 5 album list, God, that'd be a hard list. But this would have to be on there. It's an experience like all great Pink Floyd albums, like from beginning to end. Like, unlike a lot of their great albums, there are lots of throwaway songs in this. But yet, if you want to listen to the album from beginning to end, you have to leave on those throwaway songs. They are part of the experience. Just on their own, they don't work. But, God, yeah, I love almost every single sound, I want to say. I don't know, it just... This album just goes so dark. It's just a success story that goes drastically wrong. And you can tell it's a lot of Roger's feelings about how things are going with the band.
Yeah.
But you can also feel like David has a strong influence here. I know Richard wasn't really able to get too much out in this one, but like David still has a strong influence in this. Yeah. And I feel like David really balances out Roger perfectly here, which didn't really happen next time around.
No.
But yeah, it's perfect. This is the perfect Roger Waters album, mainly because David is there to really rein it in, so the ego doesn't become too overpowering. And also the ego also kind of plays in this album a bit, where it doesn't in Final Cut, and it works a lot better.
Yeah, it's like definitely inward, like kind of like the isolation aspect of it, but it's kind of like directed towards its outward thinking, but the root of the problems are all inward. But yep.
Going for favorite track, I've always gone to Comfortably Numb. Obviously, Now Brick in the Wall is classic. Young Lust is classic. Hey You is classic. Goodbye Blue Sky is just a really dark, but really great song.
Yeah.
One of My Turns is twisted as fuck.
Empty Spaces has always been one of my favorites.
Oh, Empty Spaces is great.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you brought up The Trial already. Trial is like this weird... It sounds like this twisted Disney song, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, I fucking love it, yeah. And, like, the animation in the movie, too. Like, it just depicted it so perfectly. Which even, like, the touring, like, this is, like, the point when, like, these projections would be played on the wall while the band is performing, like, behind it.
Does anyone else talking about The Trial?
Yeah.
Like, not Oingo Boingo, but pretty much like every Tim Burton movie that Danny Elfman did with lyrics sounds a lot like The Trial. Like that style of music. Yeah.
Nightmare Before Christmas, especially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great album. Oh yeah, and the movie's a trip.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the movie is not introductory Pink Floyd material, but like if you're a fan of Pink Floyd, you have to watch it because it's an experience.
If you go in and just kind of think that what you're watching are music videos for the individual songs, like it makes more sense.
Well, there is a story to it, but
there is.
Yeah. Should we just go ahead and let you take over, George?
I suppose. Yeah, no surprise. Yeah, that's my number one is The Wall. This was probably I couldn't tell you the order of which I've heard these albums, but this was the first one I owned, and this is my original copy. I found this at a flea market for like $5 or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah, that was like probably 25 years ago. So I didn't have a record player at the time, but yeah, that's my original copy. right there. Favorite song, I'm going to agree with Bob. It's Comfortably Numb. I would say that would be my second favorite Floyd track right after Echoes. Just a very moving track. The orchestral sounds in it work very well. And again, that's a track where the band just pulled it together. Like Roger and David contributed equally to the writing, the playing with all the members. It's just such a moving piece. And even like the short songs, like I wouldn't consider those throwaways. Even like something like Vera, it's only like a minute long, but I feel the emotion behind the track.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like I hate calling them throwaways because within the context of the album, they work so goddamn well.
And even Bring the Boys Back Home, which just is like a beautiful, like triumphant crescendo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's moving.
Some other favorites, Empty Spaces.
The
live version and the version in the movie is kind of like an extended version.
Yeah.
And it has few of those tracks had like the really, really weird and trippy, but very awesome animations by Gerald Scarfe. And I think, the Empty Spaces, or What Shall We Do Now, is sometimes called is the best of those animations. The movie's great. I love the movie. Everything about the album is, I felt like it's another one that just kind of influenced a lot of stuff after it. Like everything that's kind of like dark or gothic rock or whatever have you, or dark brooding rock, stems from that album. I think it's such an influential album. And and like you, Bob, I am a sucker for double albums.
Yeah.
That's
the same with Genesis. So
same, Genesis or Nine Inch Nails or whoever, Smashing Pumpkins. I'm just a sucker for those well thought out double albums. And usually they don't put them out unless they're strong albums.
Exactly.
So, it's just, I mean, I could talk about this album all night, but that's my all-time favorite.
Yeah, it's the album where Roger listens to Lamb Lies Down on Broadway and says, "I want to do that."
That's exactly what I want to do. Yeah.
But it's a classic. We already did this, but for you guys listening and watching, we're about ready to talk about our thoughts on the Wish You Were Here concert. That'll be coming up in a moment. hey, we just got out Wish You Were Here, Pink Floyd tribute band, and now we're sitting very uncomfortably in the car to talk about it.
Yes, we are.
Kind of get our thoughts. What do you guys think?
I loved it.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, you've seen.
Yeah, I've seen them close to like 9 or 10 now, or now 7 or 8. I've lost count.
First time for you too, Bob?
Yeah, I've not seen them before.
So most first timers here.
Yeah.
It was good, really good. Sounds were authentic. They were spot on with the performances.
Yeah, the lights were great too. There we are.
spooky.
Now we got some little spooky lights going.
No, it was. Whoa. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and also a very impressive set that just spanned pretty much the entire career.
Yeah.
Most albums were.
I mean, the
for.
big thing they talked about was doing all of Animals, which they did a great job with.
Yeah.
I was shocked. I think they did like all of Dark Side except maybe On the Run.
They did. They did.
Which I think that may have been like hard to play live. Like maybe also backtrack anytime Pink Floyd played it.
Yeah.
So they just did a film with it, I think.
Yeah.
Usually
Well,
when they did it.
I think lots of Pink Floyd's probably hard to do live.
Well,
yeah.
Their guitarist is impressive. Their guitar.
Very impressive.
But you both of them.
But yeah, no, it was great.
Yeah.
And the visuals were real Pink Floyd visuals.
Yeah.
That were fun.
No, I like the visuals because it was like modernized Pink Floyd. Kind of a new generation doing Pink Floyd, which I like.
I think they used the Division Bell backing films.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did from the Pulse tour, yeah.
Pulse tour, yeah.
Something that surprised me is that we did get 2 Division Bell songs. I was thinking that I'd maybe get 1. Something that disappointed me is that we got no Momentary.
Yeah, nothing
which,
from
I mean,
Momentary.
I'm in the minority there, how much I love that album.
I am too.
I mean, I am a little disappointed we didn't get a Learning to Fly at least, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you, Bob. I'm in that crew that really likes that album.
yeah,
Well, on their playlist of songs they sometimes do, they listed Terminal Frost and On the Turning Away.
Yeah,
God, I would
Terminal Frost.
I would have loved Terminal Frost. On Turning Away is fine, but Terminal Frost would have been so cool. Terminal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have seen them play stuff from that before, like a lot from Division Bell. Like I know I've seen High Hopes, and I have seen.
High
High Hopes would have been amazing.
Yeah, they did 2 from Division Bell, not High
And
Hopes.
Sorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sorrow was amazing. Any favorite songs?
From the set?
Yeah.
Well, that Pigs was pretty amazing.
The Pigs was awesome.
Yeah,
Like, definitely the highlight. Not because they brought their own inflatable pig out or anything, but
The inflatables were great.
yeah, they did.
You're not actually here. What are you doing?
Well, the first year that I saw them with the pig, they had brought up the pig, and it was told to me from the merch booth person that is something that Roger had lent them. So that one might
Really?
Interesting.
The one that I saw, the hammer's on there. There's people flexing their engines.
Yeah, we're literally parked on the side of the street.
We are literally
Fun fact.
parked. We are literally parked near a certain university that has
Saturday
to have
night on a
the-
campus university.
Yeah, the campus has to have the. in
There's
front of
no
it.
18, 19-year-olds down here whatsoever.
Well, I mean,
Everything
there
you
are.
hear is just an illusion.
Yeah.
This isn't.
Oh,
you
I
know.
mean, there may be, but they might have fake IDs.
This is a soundproof booth. We made it look like a car. We have lights going on back there. It's completely illusion for you.
It's called framing.
Yes.
So,
But yeah, I loved it. Like, I did love the Animals set. I thought they did a great
They
job
did,
with it.
yeah.
Yes.
God, song heights, I don't even know. Maybe another Breaking the Wall, which, I mean, I got
yeah,
so
they
generic,
were.
but yeah.
They were all
I mean,
great
that was
performances.
Good. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I thought Comfortably Numb was really good.
Yeah,
I wasn't
yeah.
just saying that was because the last song they played and that's the freshest in my mind.
Yeah.
But it was a great
Well,
performance.
Comfortably Numb is just such a great song.
It is,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
always like a great one to end on because it's like a big guitar solo song. And
Yeah.
they had 3 guys up there playing guitar, so they could have easily just traded off.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And the Wish You Were Here bit with the radio, they've done that
Yeah.
pretty much every time I've seen them. So it's like you see the radio, like, yep, show's getting near the end.
Yeah.
I was like, this
No.
could be one of 2 songs. It could
Yeah.
be Wish You Were Here or One of My Turns. And I'm like, I think it's just Wish You Were Here. Yeah.
Yeah, have you seen them do One of My Turns?
I don't think so.
That's a deep cut. Nice.
Yeah, that would be a deeper cut. I
Although
mean,
they
I'm
did
not
play
against it.
Fearless. Fearless
It's
is
dark.
kind of a deep cut.
It is.
too.
Yeah, it's true,
It
yeah.
is one
Yeah.
that I do hear covered by other bands quite frequently. But so I guess to me, I really don't consider it that much of a deep cut. But I mean, one of the past times pre-lockdown I saw them, they did bust out a deep cut of Corporal Clegg, which was amazing.
That's deep.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But they still played early stuff. Like,
Oh, yeah.
They started like the set with teases of several small furry creatures.
Yeah.
And then, the actual opener was Set Controls to the Heart of the Sun. Yeah.
With the gong.
Yes.
With the gong.
Yeah.
No bass, just
Complete
gong.
with the gong.
That was the only song. They had the gong out there for opening, and then they hauled it out.
Yep, that was it.
And even Astronomy Dronomy too. That
Yeah.
was... Oh.
Yeah.
That was fun.
They weren't afraid of the deep cuts.
No.
But, yeah. I really liked it. Like, honestly, you're not going to ever get a real Pink Floyd reunion. You're not even going to get, like, Pink Floyd.
You're not even
be
gonna
as
get. You're
close
never
as
gonna
we're
get
gonna
Roger
get.
and David.
Yeah. I mean, I would settle for David and Nick, but
Yeah.
even that I don't see happening
too.
anytime soon.
Unless it's for charity.
Yeah. That Ukraine song was pretty cool. I'll give them credit.
Yeah,
that
Did
was-
you guys hear that? Yeah.
Yes,
I have not
that
heard
was
it yet.
great.
Yeah,
That
new
was
Pink
pretty
Floyd track. The singer's from Ukraine.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It is
I'll check it out.
pretty awesome.
Yeah. David has some good guitar solos in it. But
I mean, when doesn't he?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
true.
true.
David looks at guitar and it's a good solo. But yeah, wish you were here. Great. If you're ever in the Ohio area or you ever happen
Or
to see them
you
playing,
happen to see them
you love
playing.
Pink Floyd,
Yeah.
you gotta check it out.
You will not
Sure
be
here.
disappointed.
Yeah.
I actually did have a thought there at the
Oh,
end.
throw in your
Came
thoughts. Throw in
too
your
late.
thoughts.
No, fill in, yeah.
So Ashleen, this is her first concert. Sea Sheds.
First concert
Yeah. They said
yeah.
they said they didn't want to be in the video, but now they have thoughts.
Now I have opinions. So I guess I don't think we've talked about the two female singers that we saw, but I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
that they were
they were-
very good.
They
Very
were
good.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And spot on with the Great Gig on the Sky.
And-
I think they performed it better than the guest vocalist in the actual Pink Floyd tour.
I know. Yeah,
it was
they
pretty
really
good.
nailed it.
It was pretty
That's
good.
always a hard one because I've also seen other bands play that before, and it's a hard vocal piece to land, but
They nail it.
nailed it.
And
Yeah.
I also want to give props. I was wondering if they had a live saxophone player, and the answer was
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
he
they
was
did.
great.
They did.
And he looked like
Wailing.
Steve Wilkos from Jerry Springer.
Yes, he does. And I'm not gonna lie.
And he plays a mean sax.
They-
Big band. They had like 4 guitar players.
Oh, yeah.
4 people on guitar.
No, they had more people there than Genesis did.
2 people on
I wanna say.
keyboards.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was-
the other guy, I'd noticed him in the bit, and I thought he was working a soundboard at
I thought
first.
he did too, but it was like, oh.
But then when I saw
Yeah.
Mike there, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
he's like swaying in rhythm. Oh, he's playing.
Makes sense because I think they had that size of a band for the most recent by recent, like 87 and 94 tours.
Oh, didn't they do a
the
little
Pulse
tour
one,
for Endless River?
I don't
No,
think
I
so.
don't think
No?
they did. I think they
No?
just
No.
released it and
No.
David collect a paycheck.
Well,
But yes.
David and Nick, and
Dave-
probably Richard's family.
Yeah, definitely Richard's family.
But yeah,
But yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
Pink Floyd rocks.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually didn't go over the ranking I came up with, like averaging all our scores. Not quite averaging. I'll go over how I went over it, but I have a overall ranking of all our albums here.
Let's
It's
hear
got
your
like an-
judgmental
like an-
thoughts now.
An average ranking.
Kind of.
Kind of.
It's actually rather simple. So all I did was I took however you ranked it, that's how many points I gave the album, and ranked them from high score to low score. So
Okay.
So number 15 would be Umaguma. Number 14 is More. Number 13 is Saucerful of Secrets. Number 13. 12 would be Endless River. 11 would be Final Cut. 10 would be Obscured by Clouds. 9 would be Piper at the Gates of Dawn. So 8 is Album Heart Mother. 7 is Division Bell. 6 is Dark Side, tied with Metal.
I'm
so actually
surprised
5
you guys
would be
put Dark
and
Side
Metal.
so low. I'm very shocked by that.
It is classic, but I just think they have more classic. More.
Agreed. And I also feel like a lot of the I don't want to say like its popularity hurts it, but I kind of feel it does.
What's really funny about our rankings, like I was like, oh, I love Momentary so much, but I feel like my opinion on this is going to be very controversial.
Yeah.
And it turned out Dark Side was the controversial album
How
here.
dare you?
Yeah.
Well, I was the one that went most controversial with Momentary. But number 4 was Animals. And then tied for 2 was Wish You Were Here, Momentary. I was shocked we all put that one really high. And then number 1 was The Wall. Number 1. So that's kind of interesting. But
Yeah, it is.
I'm not going to lie. It lined up way more than even I realized.
Yeah, I was actually surprised how many you and I were on the same level with George. That I was actually kind of surprised with some. I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah. And
All right.
it's like, I love these albums so much. And it's like, I can't disagree with anyone else's choices.
Yeah.
So like, it's an awesome album. I can't disagree with you.
Well, like I said, like even the bottom 4 here, like I said, the bottom 4 for my picks were definitely my least favorite, but I can find things to really like about them. And then like 11 through 5 or 11 through 6 for me were all really close and all really good. Then top 5 are just classics for me.
Fun fact about Uma Guma: it was the last time the band was ever photographed on an album cover.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess.
Think about it.
I can't think of another time.
Yeah, none of the other. That was the last front cover to feature the band members.
Yeah.
The only other one I can think of that even has them would be Piper.
But that
There's
was their first, yeah.
Saucerful has a very small photo of them, but they are in the collage there on Saucerful.
And Dark Side, if I'm not mistaken, Dark Side, it's when you open up the album and it's inside the jacket.
That, like, I think all of them have pictures of the band inside.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, Dark Side has this fold-out poster of the band members. If that counts. Not technically part of the sleeve, but...
Well, hey, this one also has something that you could take out and fold out.
Sure.
I mean, it's not like a poster or anything, but it still does have it. I was surprised that it did when I bought it, actually. Yeah, I don't know if you could see it that well, but it actually has a watermark of the two of them.
No, I can see it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Off topic, but yeah.
Yeah.
I was busting out the wall, so I was like, "Oh, I at least got to get out one of the gems of the collection."
Let's see. I think we're just on a future episode. So next week we're going to be doing more of a normal format. Just going to be myself and Bobby again. What do we have lined up? We have Dr. Mordred, which I kept on calling Dr. Morden. Jeffrey Combs is Doctor Strange, if you're wondering.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to watch that.
I am very excited about this.
We'll go ahead and catch up on 4 more episodes of Sense8.
Yeah.
And...
Good show. Very good show.
Oh, have you seen it, George?
Yeah, I've seen all of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've seen parts of it, and I do enjoy it.
This is my first time watching it. I'm really enjoying it so far.
What's... Oh, yes. Duh. We're going to catch The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. The Nicolas Cage super self-aware movie that so far is getting really good reviews. So I'm excited to watch it. Yeah.
All right, then. Okay.
It looked like something fun to watch. And it's like, hey, Bobby, you want to watch this? He's like, sure.
Yes.
It's like, I think I could be talked into that.
Absolutely.
If you're interested in more album rankings in about a month, George and I will be doing Tears for Fears and Garbage. And then I will do a concert review. That will just be me solo, possibly with my eldest child if I can talk them into it. But
yes, I will be absent that week.
But you're not allowed to take a week off, Bobby. So I want you to kind of... I'm going to give you a schedule. I want you to just kind of sit in the studio corner and just kind of stare.
Just sit in my fabricated closet studio here.
Make sure to give you a couple hours to study where you just do nothing and then...
just watch it, making me watch just various things.
Yeah. But, I hope you guys enjoyed this. The album rankings are something different, so I really enjoy it.
Were we going to talk about the concert?
I think we have to tell.
We have to teleport.
Did. Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Is there anything you wanted to add?
Other than what I said that night, no. I mean, it was a great time. It was an amazing. Actually,
excellent.
It was cool because I didn't know that was your oldest first time, like her first show, like ever.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, was there a few proud moments when you saw her actually really enjoying herself, like in the second set?
Well, when she was talking about the that thing they brought out, I don't even know how to describe it, but like the float they brought out for another break in the wall, and she really dug that float.
The Schoolmaster.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
It was a cool float. And then, I didn't realize how much she appreciated Great Gig in the Sky, but that was a great performance. Those vocals they got were so goddamn good.
And it was spot on. And I think I mentioned that during the review. It's like they perform that better than some of the performance I've seen of the actual band doing it. Like having guest vocalists come out. It's like they nailed it. It's incredible.
I've also, well, I guess I could, I didn't share this, but I'm just now remembering it. There was a time that I did witness another Pink Floyd tribute act. It wasn't as good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was bad.
Oh.
They were called Dark Side of the Moon. They at least did a full stop and start during Shine On about 3 times.
Oh, geez.
Oh,
ouch. Ouch.
I mean, to be fair, the first 2 were technical issues.
Mm-hmm.
But still.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That doesn't explain the third one. You need to play through. You need.
Yeah, that's not a song that you stop.
Yeah.
But yeah, Wish You Were Here's better. So if you're around the Ohio area and you ever see a band coming to town on the marquee called Wish You Were Here, I strongly recommend them.
Yeah, they were great. I will be happy to check them out again.
Same here. Yeah, absolutely.
See how it's easy to see them multiple times?
Yes. I see what you mean.
Well, it's also like, as far as shows go, it's not a pricey show at all. So yeah,
you could also
great
get
band, great music.
You could also get a good T-shirt collection going.
Yeah. I got this one, which was apparently updated in 2014, because I know yours doesn't have Endless River in the circle here.
No, it's just a U, and that I also bought that when I was much skinnier, so I might need to go see them and buy the newer version of it.
Yeah. Nice. But yeah, awesome band. And I like how we all wore appropriate shirts.
Yes.
I think George's is the coolest.
Yeah. He is the trendsetter.
But you'll hear our lovely voices next week, and then you'll hear George's lovely voice next month. Everyone have a good one.
Take care.
See you, everybody.
I want to go ahead and add some audio credits at the end here. The theme music you're hearing at the beginning and end of this podcast was written and performed by George Johnson, a very good friend of mine. And my current Patreons are Fel Martins, David Lara, and Lindsay Pankhurst. If you'd like to become a patron, go ahead and follow the link down below. Anything you can provide would be incredibly helpful to this channel. We're barely limping by right now. I'd love to make this my full-time job. I'm miles away from that right now. So any help you could provide, just $1 a month would be amazing. You know you want to. All your friends are doing it.